Wow. Jesus. Dude, you had a couple other things you want to talk about for 2016.
Zing!
Well, yeah, I mean, oh God, I just got Total War Warhammer, and hold on, so this came out in early March, and I didn't have a computer that I could play it on, but I rebuilt my computer, and now I can play it, and I got it a couple days ago, last week. I got it last weekend for myself, and the girl gave me such crap because Steam was having a sale. I got $100 worth, $300 worth of games, $300 worth of computer games for $100. Okay, 66% sale. You do not pass that up. And she was like, "Oh, I wish I could spend $100 on video games." Well, you can if you had a Steam account and you got it on sale. You could do that.
I mean,
and I was like,
she can. She's only gonna get like a game and a half, though.
Right. So like, I got it, and I have put. So remember, I was like playing a bunch of Steel Ocean for weeks on end.
Yep.
It's now Warhammer. I've got 90 hours on the game.
Holy
since
fuck!
Yeah.
Since when?
Since last weekend.
There's only like 160 something hours in a week.
Yeah, I got 90 hours.
This is what happens when dude is on break at work, guys.
Yeah, this is what. Well, it's also like the holiday. So just to compare it to Steel Ocean that I've had for a while, I have 131. I love that Steam tells you how much you've played the game, so you know how little of a life you have.
I'm getting close to 400 hours on Empire Total War.
What I've had to install it and reinstall it, so I don't know if it's kept the numbers.
It usually does.
I have 245 hours on that one. But good God. Now that I think about it, we were talking about why I don't read. If I put 90 hours into reading, I'd probably finish a few books.
You put 90 hours worth of reading, you'd get through one book.
Yeah, I probably won't remember what the fuck was in it, because Tracy would sit there. So, do you remember when this character met the other person, and they were like, "Nope, I don't." Obviously, that was really important, because that changes my entire perspective of the book. I don't remember it.
Yes.
And... yeah, so games this year. That was that Warhammer Total War. Good God, that took over my life. I'm embarrassed now. Someone take over.
Oh.
I mean, I kicked it over to you for a minute because you said you had a bunch of other things you wanted to talk about.
Oh, well, I mean, the other thing I want to talk about is, in my opinion, we talked about free speech on this podcast a couple times. I really do think it made a comeback this year. If you start from like late 2014, early 2015, it took a huge beating. With everything from Charlie Hebdo to the campus craziness to the Mary Sue craziness, just the weirdness of speech policing and the change in discourse that we go from what used to be a John Stuart Mill type of discourse where it's like, yeah, you know what, say what you want. You're allowed to be kooky, and now that I know you think dumb things, to this, no, you can't say this because when you speak things, it affects the ether of people's minds and makes them sad bears or crap like that. And this year, for better or worse, was a huge comeback for speech. The better was things like the University of Chicago, Ohio State, Wesleyan College. I'm trying to think of another big one, putting out very strong statements in support of free expression, saying our college is a space where people will argue about ideas and we will not police it, and we will also be in accordance with the First Amendment, i.e. the law. And then there was some bad things like wackadoodle alt-right people posting all sorts of really kind of off-color things, to put it mildly, and then saying free speech. And it was like, yeah, you're still kind of a dick. This doesn't help. But for the most part, on the aggregate, I think this was a good year for speech. The wagons got circled. People closed the line, closed the gaps, put the shields together. Especially with the absence of one of the most articulate free speech proponents, Christopher Hitchens, being dead now 5 years. Every time one of these events come up, I go, "Oh, what would Hitch say about this?" Because he really was the most public and clear-minded and clear communicating people on this topic. And now people have finally, closed ranks on this one. That was the phrase I was looking for. So I think that was kind of something I took away, is that the free speech kind of had a big comeback in the popular discourse. And also Frank Cho consistently giving the middle finger to the Mary Sue over the course of the year. I loved that. That was just great. It was just every time. He's like, "You don't like buttholes? Here, I want a big draw one." I'm going to say it's yours.
I started following
about-
Frank Cho on Instagram, and it's really interesting, like all of the other stuff he puts up, and it's like you guys are like freaking out about one or two things he's done. Go look at the breadth of his work, and it's actually very good.
No, we lose in the
artist,
fact that he's like a super talented artist. I love his economy of drawing. It's so efficient.
I kind of wanted to bring back up the fact that C2E2 tried to ban a weapons replica booth, then decided to allow it, then changed their minds again the day of. So this isn't exactly free speech. This is more along the lines of Second Amendment, I guess. It sort of toes the line between the two of them. I just thought that was a funny blip on the news radar of geeks everywhere.
There was that, and then there was it Baltimore tried to ban fake weapons?
All weapons. Yeah, all weapons.
Yeah, all weapons. And just watched how fast that turned. That was literally under 24 hours.
Yeah, because we decided to talk about it on the podcast, and by the time we talked about it on the podcast, later that day, they had changed it, and we had to go find the original announcement. That was hilarious.
Also, we could talk about how when you and I went to Phoenix, how we already had our passes, but I think the Friday pass people had to wait outside in the Phoenix heat for like 4 hours.
Yeah, so Phoenix, there was a computer crash. So you had to go, they didn't mail out passes, you had to go physically pick them up. And there was some kind of computer crash, and it just took them a long time to basically attempt to get the computers back, realize that wasn't going to happen, and then divert the line inside. So people were outside for four hours in the middle of a Phoenix heat wave. So it was about 100. It was about 116 out,
like in the shade.
And there's very little shade around that particular convention center.
Yeah, it was.
And there's a couple patches, but not
right. And man, there were a ton of irate people. The one thing I will say is at least like the guy running the show came out and legitimately apologized for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that has consistently pissed me off about New York Comic Con is every time they fuck something up, Lance Festerman comes out and basically gives the biggest non-apology ever. Mm-hmm. Like every time, like this year they set up the ticket purchasing process differently. But in years past, they have basically been like, when their servers crashed, they're like, well, we put it on Twitter, so it was fine. It's like, well, no, It's not fine. It's it's fucking Twitter, and B, this is the third goddamn year in a row you guys have had this problem. You should have figured out how much fucking traffic is coming to your site and accounted for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's very alienating to fans.
Yeah,
it's quite frustrating.
This guy actually came out and said, "Hey, we fucked up and we apologize for it, and we should have done better." Yeah, that was some. Like Phoenix in June is always like hot, but it's usually like barely triple digits. Mm-hmm. That was a particularly brutal weekend where Donnell had a rough time with the heat.
Yeah, she was not used to. It's funny. She's not used to weather extremes at all, and she didn't. Yeah, I don't think she hydrated properly.
Oh no!
Just knew how to mentally.
I know for a fact she didn't. She was not anywhere near hydrated enough.
And then I think I love the heat, so I'm fine with it. And then the rest of you guys just.
We all grew up there.
So it was fine.
We knew what we were doing.
I mean, also speaking of Phoenix Con, it was fun for me to almost take over that Orwell panel, which hopefully we will get our own one day because we will do a good job. Those poor guys. I know their hearts were in the right place, but man,
they made an attempt.
They really did, but it's just when you do
have to be prepared.
I'm disappointed.
Public stuff like that.
As much as I enjoyed the T panel with Donnell, I'm now disappointed I didn't go to the Orwell panel with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm also disappointed in my friends who did go with you who didn't take pictures.
No, your buddy, it was just your buddy Espy, I think, came with me.
Yeah, but he had a camera and didn't take pictures.
He didn't take pictures, yeah. He should have recorded it. It was like, oh my God, I basically took that thing over and just said, everything these guys are saying is not the point. I'm going to tell you the real point. And then, I mean, to some people, probably those guys probably hated my guts. They were like, to hell with this guy.
Well, I mean, it's not hard to do that.
No, there's no, obviously not. I've been kicked off the radio multiple times. To hell with you. That was my story for 2016. Everyone going, this guy, screw this guy.
How have we been friends for getting close to 15 years now?
I don't know how I have friends.
Because one of you rage quits every few months just for a month or two to take a break.
It's also true. One of these days we've got to talk about the time that I rage quit while we were playing a game. And from then on, you made us play while running Skype in another window, so you could watch me rage quit.
Well, I mean, really, the reason why I put you on Skype is so we could communicate, because I'm an idiot and I didn't know or even think to check out TeamSpeak or Discord that we could do that. And I was like, just put Skype on your laptop. And I was like, because I'm just not a real gamer in that respect. I'm kind of the absent-minded gamer.
I did read some really cool books this year, although I don't think any of them came out this year.